Hello. I am just doing my Monday morning musing, which will soon become Sunday reflection, looking at various different things. First thing that I want to ponder through for myself is this discernment versus divinity. I can't even say the other word. I'll pop it on the screen, which it came up in a course I was doing yesterday on the I Ching. So it was the Christian I Ching, and he spent a lot of time justifying why using the I Ching fitted within the Christian faith. And one of the pieces that he talked about was the difference between divining or divination. I don't think that I said that right. And discernment. And it was really interesting because I hadn't really thought of it through that lens. I have a Christian, I want to say background, but I think that doesn't quite convey it. So I became a Christian when I was 26. I don't have a Christian upbringing, which is why the word background didn't quite fit. I'm a Christian when I was 26 and studied Christianity, read the Bible and explored. And I do find, as I'm diving into realms of tarot and the I Ching and the human design stuff and the astrology elements, find myself wondering how it aligns with the Christianity. So I did find this course, Christianity, or the I Ching, the Christian I Ching, I think it was. I'll pop a link below. I did find it really interesting, and he came with that perspective of separating out future telling versus understanding and awareness and present direction. And yeah, I found that really interesting. It helped me see the difference between using it to tell the future, which I don't use. It's the same as the difference between giving advice and coaching in my world. So every now and then I will drop into like a mentor role in my coaching practice, and I will recommend something to a client, and maybe more than every now and then. I also am conscious when I'm in coaching mode that advice is not something that I give. I may offer options, I may offer alternate perspectives, but I have no attachment to things following that way. And I think for me, that's the difference between the future telling and the what can I discover in this moment of human design, of tarot, of all of those kinds of things. So yeah, it was an interesting perspective shift for me. Not so much a perspective shift, perspective awareness, that I use these tools to raise my discernment, to raise my ability to judge accurately. And by judge in this context, I don't mean sit above and look down on, I mean critically think through. And so judgment in this space is critical thinking. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. Interested in your thoughts on that. Now let's look at, so we are the 30th of January. How did that happen? It is 6:24 a.m. on the 30th of January down here in Australia. So just opened I got printed the year's worth of transits. And interested, just then I'm just thinking through, it's like, is this me doing future telling? The thing is I'm not jumping forward. I'm simply looking at like what's going on this week, what can I learn about myself this week? In theory, I guess I should be doing it retroactively to not be future telling. I'm doing it to be forearmed and forewarned. So the planetary alignment is the planetary alignment. I'm not making predictions on actions or what I'm going to do with it. I'm just raising my awareness. So this week is a lot quieter for me than the previous weeks have been, which is really nice. I say a lot quieter. It's still like 50-50 highlighted, and there's still a lot going on. So yesterday we had 2461, 214, 1648, and 2644 active. Today, what kicks in, so that's with the moon, is the inspiration, the 1-8 channel. So I'm going to look that up and just very, very briefly see what's going on. So when does the 8 Moon in 8 at 8:53 a.m. and it will stay there until 9 p.m. and that is in Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So what am I looking up? 1-8. So 1-8 will be an individual circuitry on page 42 of the Richard Rudd book. It is a quarter of mutation and civilization. So I have the 1 in my chart, which is what is activating this. So this isn't a universal channel. This is just a me channel. If you also have the gate 1, it'll be available for you as well. So the 1 is already in my chart. It is it's coming off a defined center. The other thing I did just to show off is the Rave design cards, I put little banners around them. And so now I can find things quite easily in the cards and it makes me happy. All right, so we're looking for 1 is coming off the identity, the identity, the G center, and 8 must be in the throat. Yes, it is. Very good. Yeah, that makes it so much easier for me to find. So these, I'll pop a picture of them on the screen, but each of the centers is there with all of its gates and the name of it, and then it just wraps around the set, and then I can pull it off, access what I want. So what I want is gate 8. Gate 8 is holding together. The basic worth realized in contributing and individual efforts to group goals. Through example, the contribution of the individual is impressed on the collective. Fascinating. And like I said, this is only with us a short time. It's not normally something I'll dive into, but the rest of the gates have been there. The rest of the channels have been there for a little while. So honesty, service, the phony, respect, dharma, and communion. We'll see how that plays out today. And then it's coupling with 1, the creative, which is there for me as a consistent energy. So for me, the 1 is in Mercury in my design side, 1.4. So line 4, aloneness is the medium of creativity. Oh, so see, for me that today, my kids go back to school. So it'll be interesting to see if that plays out. It's not often my experience that aloneness is the medium of creativity. It is in my design, so I'm less likely to be conscious of it. So that's just fascinating. So we've got the 1 and the 8, and together they become the channel of inspiration. When did I say this was kicking in? 8:53. Beautiful. So I'll get the kids to school, and then I'll hopefully come home to inspiration. We'll see how that plays out. Here to be creative, different from everyone else. Absolutely. Your life is about having the courage to stand out from the crowd. Yep. Simply by being yourself, you will always get the recognition you deserve. All right. So be myself. Enjoy. I like it. Absolutely open to that. So that's the 1-8, which kicks in today. The 1648's been around. The 2644's been around. They're all being activated further along in the world, in the realm. Awareness beat, yeah, so that continues on all the way through till Saturday, and then Saturday we get acceptance, the 1762. I'm just going to peek to the next week. Must be a moon transit. So 62 is in the moon, 17 is in, I need my cheat sheet, one of those planets that I don't know what the symbol is. So 1762, while we're here, I am going to play with that this week. So some weeks I'll do the moons, some weeks I'll focus on others that are going to be around for more, but this week the moon is there. So 1762, page 50 in the Richard Rudd circuitry book. The channel of acceptance. It is a projected channel. It's an understanding circuit, civilization and initiation. Cool. And this is being activated by the universe, so not by me. So I don't have either 17. It's the 1762. I'm curious to see how this plays out for me. I'm not going to read any more around it now because I don't want to shape it too much further. That's 1762, which is connecting the Anya to, is it to the throat? Yeah, 62. So it's the throat and Anya connection. I have a couple of hanging gates there, but not in that one. So where's my Anya? Anya. So I have 11 and 43 coming off the Anya moving down towards the throat, and their partners are the 23 and the 56. The 1762 is a completely undefined channel for me and coming off an undefined center. And I feel like I've probably got some conditioning there to continue to uncover or explore. If I remember on Saturday, I'll lean into that and I'll see how it plays out. And hopefully I'll remember to share next week. People with that channel get under my skin very quickly. And so I'm curious to see how that plays out. I'm not going to make any predictions based on it. I'm going to lean into, let's just see how that plays out. So let's look. So there must be a couple of gates. So I got 19 and 33, which are highlighted. Where'd my body graph go? So I printed this book. I printed it with my body graph as the cover page. And I have very, very quickly worked out that I want a separate body graph. I don't want it in the book. It is too hard to look at both because I really need that body graph on the side. And I don't want to print the body graph. So what I'll do, I'm going to just rip it out at the front and I'll just sit it back into that folder. I'll trim it down and it can just sit in the cover, but be removable. I may even laminate it. So I've now pulled that out. So what was I looking at? Where am I? Too far. I need to put a post-it note flag on this so I can find it easily. All right. So 19 for me is normally active, which is also currently activated by the sun. So the sun, is that the sun or the earth? The sun. The sun is in gate 19 until Friday, and the earth is in 33. So 19 is active for me anyway. 33 is also active for me anyway. I may pull out one or two of those just to have a look at it and share my experience of them in a second. Then we get to the nodes, 24 and 44 with us all week, moving from line 2 down to line 1 because the nodes move backwards. 6124. Okay. So that 6124 is creating a split definition for me. I'm definitely feeling that more scattered space because I've got, and I'll put up my body graph so you guys can see. So you can see normally I've got an undefined crown and an undefined Anya. With the 24, I then get both of those become defined through the transits and it creates a split definition. And I'm definitely feeling that. When did that 24 come in? Yeah, it's been around for a while. The other thing, though, is that I've got the 16. So what I'm noticing is the 16 is serving me really well. So it's in Mars and has been for quite some time. It transitions out the 6th of February, I believe. So I'm getting the enthusiasm for that. And I've got a really nice flow in the bottom pieces because I'm getting that split definition. I find I am seeking out that 23 or 56, generally the 56. I don't know what it is about the 23, but I prefer the 56. And that helps me to have that single definition back again. Now, people that generally have a split definition, while they'll have that desire to seek it out, they're far more familiar with that energy. That split definition is familiar for them. For me, it's unfamiliar, and I find it very uncomfortable. Becoming more comfortable with that is on my exploration and playing with. So we've got the 24 in the node playing out, which I have been feeling, and then looking and seeking out that 56. And then the 44 is the connection between the spleen and the ego. And I do have so both of those are bridging gates for me. 24 bridges with 63 and the 44 bridges with 26. And they're the 44 to 26 I quite like. It feels not too far removed. It actually helps me settle. It also gives me defined ego, which gives me more motivation or consistent, not necessarily more, but more consistent motivation, which I've seen through January, and my ability to show up and get things done. So when it drops off, the 44 drops off on, that's the one that drops off on the 6th. So the 16 and the 44 disappearing. Next week will be fascinating to play out because it's different energy. But right now, the energy is available. So that split definition is happening. Saturday is where the 1762 comes in, which will bridge that gap. Though that channel, I feel, has significant conditioning for me. So what happens when we've got a full channel activated by the transits, we may feel anything we haven't deconditioned or let go of the conditions around. So we may feel pressure or stress coming through. What else have we got here? 24 in the moon. So 24 is doubling down today on me. And interestingly, that then creates a compromise channel in favor of the universe. That was yesterday, 24 in favor of the universe. So today we've got the moon in, that's right, we've got the moon in 8, which is bringing up that creativity. Then we got the 20. 20 comes off. So 20, that's a significant one for me as well. So let's look up 20. So the 20 sits in the integration channel. 20 is coming off the throat. So for me, I've got the 10, 34 in that integration circuit. So the 10, 34, 57, and 20 create the integration circuit, and they all interact and play with each other. So you get, so when the 20 is active, there are 3 potential channels that may come up. So 2010, 2034, 2057. So for me, it'll be the 2010 and the 2034, which I'll look up in the book in a second. I'm just going to pull out the 20 card. All right. 20, contemplation. Ooh, contemplation. Recognition and awareness in the now, which transforms understanding into right action. Contemplation is purely existential. Oh, I love existential contemplation. I'm going to like this. So I think 2034 is the perfected, the perfected form. So let's have a look here. We've got 20. What I'm going to do, in this book, there is a page and it's got the list of all of the channels listed out numerically. I'm going to write the page numbers, or I'm going to pay a child, depending on which of them I can bribe, that match the channels, because it's just going to make it so much easier to look up. The index for the channels is sorted by the circuitry, which is making me learn the circuitry, and I do like that. However, just the ease of turning to this. So 2034 is charisma. 2057 is the brainwave. So 57 is not active for me, so that won't come through for me. 2010 is awakening. And okay, so maybe perfect form must be one of the other ones. It must be a 57 one. Let's see if I can find that, just because now I've started talking about it, I want to answer that loop. Perfected form, 5710 is perfected form. So we're not getting perfected form. We're getting 20. So I'm not going to get the brainwave, but I'm going to get charisma, a design where thoughts must become deeds. Interesting. And I'm getting awakening, a design of commitment to higher principles. Interesting. So we'll tap into what that comes forth for me. 20, it's the integration circuitry. Makes it easy to look up. Interestingly, some of them then fit in other circuits as well. 2010 and 2034 are pages 18 and 20. Let's see what jumps out at me from that. So 10, which is in my natal chart, is the love of oneself, people's whose lives are an expression of their own uniqueness. I definitely bring that. Is that a conscious or an unconscious gate for me? So 10 is a conscious gate. I could turn it up. Like, I'm aware that that's what I'm meant to be living. Do I live it? Not as much as I would like. So 10 coupled with 20 creates the channel of awakening. There is nothing more important to you in life than to be yourself, regardless of the cost. Awesome. So that's going to get amplified later today. And then we've got, so 20 is the gate of the now. All right, then we've got 3420. So 34 is generally independent and self-centered, but who do not need to feel guilty about that fact. I like that. I need to lose that guilt a little bit more. So 34 is in my regular channel. And then coupled with the 20, the healthiest thing for you is to be continually busy in life, but it is essential that you are busy doing something you love. Okay, so when this 20 comes in, that busyness is on point for me. That just historically, there are so many times where I have been doing what I love, and I do get very obsessive, very hyper-focused, and so judged for it, so judged by other people who don't understand it. So that for me makes a lot of sense. And keeping that in mind, so 20 was coming in tonight, at 8 o'clock. Now, whether or not I'll still be up and I'll be leveraging that energy, I don't know. But just that piece just there, that makes so much sense for me. That busyness, and it's not consistent, it's inconsistent. And I imagine it's inconsistent with when the 20 is active in the channels. I'll have to keep an eye on when else it comes through, because that's a pattern. And it is inconsistent, which is frustrating for people around me, because there are times where I am so hyper-focused, so driven and so willing to do what I love. And then there are other times where I completely lose sight of that. And then, of course, that the being yourself that comes through with that 20 as well. That's a wicked combination. And wicked, I mean, in the best sense of the word, like that's a delightful, wonderful, extreme combination. So that's those two. So I think that's probably all I'm going to do in the human design side of things today. Just going to look at my chart and see. 33. Let's pull out 33 and look at 33. So 33 is also off the throat, which I happen to have out. Because, so 33 is currently active in the sun. So this is a gate that's universally available to all of us this week. Sorry, I said the sun, I meant earth. So 33 is active through the earth. Active withdrawal and the transformation of a weak position into strength. Wisdom and experience is shared through the voice of remembrance. Nice. And for me, the 33, so it's in my design side. It's in my personality side. And it is the nodes. So it's in that higher up. It's also one of the things that will influence the deeper structure of stuff. And it's line 4 I've got is dignity. I'm just going to open that book and look at. So that book is the Definitive Book of Human Design by Linda Bunnell and Ra. And Linda Bunnell's cards are the ones that I'm using right now. What is actually the lines? Hexagram lines 1 through 64, 344. And I want gate 33. I just want to see if it says anything else in the book. So in the back of this book, there's a bunch of information. The 2 books I recommend, The Definitive Book of Human Design, The Science of Differentiation by Linda Bunnell, inspired by Ra himself. And then the other one is The Human Design Circuitry by Richard Rudd. And I suspect I'm going to get a couple more of his books. He is also the founder of Gene Keys, but I like his human design stuff better than the Gene Keys stuff. All right, line 4, dignity. 33-4. The underlying faith in resurrection that turns retreat into an opportunity for renewal and regeneration. The healthy retreat for regeneration, which I think is probably my hermit coming to life. Without the guiding light of resurrection, the inevitable dissolution that leads to degeneration, forced to retreat and unable to see its regenerative qualities. Yeah, I've definitely experienced that too. So there's the ascension and the detriment. A lack of turmoil in retreat. transformation of a weak position into strength. That I definitely see playing out in me quite frequently. That's available to everybody this week, that 33. I'll read its bigger blurb as well. In 33, which is one of my channels, is the prodigal, a witness. Let's look for 33. The gate of privacy, active withdrawal and the transformation of a weak position into a strength. Comes from the throat center. It is the quarter of civilization. The theme is purpose fulfilled through form. Gate 33 marks the end of a cycle, and built into all endings is a moment of silence for considering every aspect of the experience. This is where your need to be alone comes from. Retreat for you arises in that moment of uncertainty between the completed experience and a new one, a pause that allows you to reflect on what to take forward while you renew your strength. So for me, that is something I'm not living well. A pause. What is this word that we speak of? So that's all right. So the pause to reflect between projects. Bring that in more is what I'm hearing. It is in the quiet moments of contemplation that the most valuable lessons stored in the depths of collective memory will come to the surface. So gate 13 is the collective memory. Oh, good. Interesting. Okay, so gate 13 is active in my chart as well. If you have 13, it will be playing out. If you don't have 13, the gate 33. So gate 33 will be active for you this week in your chart if you have a defined throat center, either in your natal chart or by definitions. And so 33 coupled with 13, there'd be a couple of other different gates coming in that could define that throat center as well. In gate 33, your need for privacy is joined by the collective's voice of I remember. It is also your nature to share the lessons of experience and reveal its truths. Yes, it is. The experience can be one of your own or another's, or even that of a group of people. The process is the same. When the time is ripe, you will be asked to share your wisdom, which then becomes part of the greater community and humanity's evolving consciousness. Like the prodigal, you mature over your lifetime and your realm of influence expands as you move through each cycle of experience. Without gate 13, so if you have the 33 without gate 13, so this is accurate for some of you right now. You'll have the 33 through the transits, but not necessarily having that 13. You may not have a sense of the right timing for sharing your lessons. The lines, line 1 is avoidance, line 2, surrender, line 3, spirit, line 4, dignity, line 5, timing, and line 6, disassociation. And so 33 today, so on Monday, it is line 2 moving into 3. So Sunday would have been line 1, so avoidance. Moving into 2, surrender. Oh my God, that was so me yesterday morning. What time did that shift? So 33.2 came in at 5:29 a.m. That is exactly how that played out. So I woke up at ridiculous o'clock yesterday morning and lay in bed avoiding everything until about 5:30 when I got up. So, I don't know. I mean, yes, we make meanings out of everything, but that to me is a weird coincidence. All right. So that's that. I believe. I feel like I had another thought that I was going to finish. I apologize. I don't remember what it was. Let's pull out some archetypes. I am inclined to see where my Hermit is sitting. I feel like we touched on him last week. I'm still just going to see where he's sitting because the 33 and there's a couple of things drawing me towards my Hermit. So I'm going to find my Hermit in my deck. Hermit 2. All right, no, it's not what we looked at last week. All right, so I got the King of Cups, which is emotional maturity of some level. So Cups is emotions. The King is the ruler of it. More from masculine, which makes sense. Masculine mastery of emotions, absolutely. All right, so we're in house 2, which is values, monies, resources, self-esteem, self-identity to some point in terms of how we feel about ourselves. So identity is house 1, and then 2 is kind of how we relate with that identity. values and resources, self-esteem, spending style, possessions, comfort, self-worth, talents, preferences, and tastes. All right, so the Hermit is one of my core 12 archetypes in the Carolyn Myss archetype practice. And so I've got my Hermit or my cat. I'm like, what's my name for it? So I use the Carolyn Myss cards because they're easy to follow, but all of my characters come from my Build a Team of Champions course, where we actually write the story and we choose the characters intuitively rather than from a box set. Box set can serve as inspiration. I don't believe they should lock us into those titles. So the Hermit or the cat, my cat trick. And the light side of that, seek solitude to focus intently on inner life, serves personal creativity, which is speaking to the 1 and the 33 and a couple of the other channels that we just spoke to in the human design side of things. We're looking at shadow, bridge, and light with these 3 archetypes. So I've got Hermit, Midas, Miser, and Beggar. So the shadow is withdraws from society out of fear of negative judgments of others, refusing to help those in need, which I do frequently as a way to protect my self-esteem and to maintain my capabilities. And yeah, that's huge. So letting that go and allowing that to transition. So my theme for the year is invoking flow. So allowing myself to let go of that withdrawal out of fear of negative judgments of others and refusing to help those in need. And I think tapping into more, allowing that solitude to come through because I want to use it for creativity or self-reflection or those kinds of things. Then we've got my bridge. I just want to check in if the Hermit. Yeah, really, really helping that Hermit step into a space of love and recognizing. I think my poor Hermit, my cat, is so overlooked, and I'll demand the creativity from the cat. Like, you go and be creative and deal with the worry guy. I've done that not so long ago. I'm not necessarily seeing the gifts, and I'm not always giving that space of retreat and recognizing where the cat, so if the cat is retreating out of fear of judgment, it's a time to connect with the cat more. Whereas if I'm retreating for that creativity and that innovation, that's a different ballgame. All right, so the bridge, the Midas. So shifting from a space of operating out of fear and withdrawing from society to avoid judgment. The bridge out of that is, okay, so the shadow of the Midas, the relatability, is the obsessive fear of losing your wealth. And for me, it's the obsessive fear of losing my self-esteem, losing my self-worth, losing my, it's all inner world stuff. It's not external world stuff. Hoarding money and emotions. So I'll retreat and hoard knowledge, wisdom, emotions, insights, all as a way of protecting that inner wealth, that self-esteem piece. Not so much these days, but just tapping in, like, this is speaking to the extreme and speaking transparently, very transparently. I don't need help with this either. Like, if you're a coach watching this, I'm all good. I'm working through, I'm doing the process. I don't need free coaching. I don't need your program. I'm good. I'm working through. And it's not that I don't need help and support. I will seek that from the people that I know can help and support me. Please don't message me saying, I saw your video, and because coaches have the worst tendency of doing that. And I've been that coach and I understand it. This is me doing a self-reflection. Yes, I'm being vulnerable. Yes, I'm sharing stuff at the extreme because that's where I'm going to tap into it most. This is not playing out in my every moment of every day of my life. This is me tapping into my deepest, darkest pieces of myself, or not quite, but to the inner stuff. And I'm all good. So for anyone watching, just that disclaimer in there. So absolutely that hoarding, that pulling back, so hoarding my emotions, the obsessive fear of losing my self-esteem, the obsessive fear of having boundaries violated. Obsessive feels a bit too strong a word at this point, but it's definitely there in moments. So obsessive for me is more consistent. It's definitely there in moments though. And I can definitely get caught in ruminating around, if I hang out with this person, blah, blah, blah. And so yeah, so that recognizing that is the first step in bridging this. So we've got the shadow aspect of the Hermit is the retreat due to fear of judgment. We've got the shadow aspect of the Midas is the hoarding the emotions and the obsessive fear of losing your wealth. And I'm going to, because we're in house 2, that wealth is absolutely the external wealth for me. It's not so much the external wealth. I'm not particularly fussed on that, but that inner wealth. So my self-esteem, and of course, the irony of all of this is none of that can be taken from me. And yet we all fall into the trap at times of thinking that it can. Let's move into the light. The light of the Midas is the creative ability, entrepreneurial or creative ability to turn anything into gold, delight in sharing life's riches. I can embody that. I can embody that more. I'm embodying that right now, though. The ability to be creative, turn anything into gold. This is me sitting here talking about my stuff. There are going to be people that watch this that get amazing value, and there'll be a percentage of those that are like, oh my God, this woman has such a great depth of insight. She's got such a great self-awareness. I want to be like that. And they'll reach out and they'll access me. So this is me doing, turning creative ability, like this is my self-reflection, and it will turn into a great gift for the world, for at least some of the people in the world. Not everyone will love it. So that's the light, is that creative ability to turn anything into gold, delight in sharing the riches. And I think bringing in that Hermit, allowing myself that space to reflect and tap into what am I going to turn into gold, and then coming back out as the miser and turning it into gold. And then my third card here, and we're just going to look at the light of the Beggar. I'm going to cover the shadows so that I'm not tempted. And the really, like, when I tap into embracing this entrepreneurial and creative ability as a way, knowing, it's not as a way to, it's just knowing that my self-esteem, my inner wealth, my philosophies, my truth, while people will judge, and there will be people that judge, none of that can be taken from me. This is me. This is who I am. And I get to choose to hold on to that. Now, I do believe that the external world does impact us. It definitely has an impact on us. And it's not all about just the inner world stuff, as some people will put forth. There is an element of both the internal and the external, and creating a harmony between the two. And it is so important. And I don't know which comes first. To me, it's very much a chicken or egg. There are a lot of personal development gurus, and it'll all tell you it all comes from within. I believe that it is a combination, and it's very much a chicken and egg. Are we responding to our environment based on something internal, based on something that happened in our environment in the past? Like, it's just the cycle and the spiral. And so there is this constant dance between our inner world and our outer world. And for me as an extrovert, my outer world is the world that I see more clearly. Tapping into my inner world is important to me, but it is not the only reality. There is definitely a world around me that is robust and filled with riches. I don't know where that came from, but I like that rant. The light attributes of the Beggar confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival. Maybe that's where it came from, because it really is this blend of the physical survival in this world. There is an external world. I do need to take care of my physical body. I do need to exercise. I do need to take care of my house. I do need to do a whole pile of things. I need to serve my clients. There are a whole pile of things going on in the world around me. That physical level, the physicality of this world is crucial to be aware of, as well as the internal empowerment. Awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. So the irony of hiding from judgment with the Hermit to protect the self-esteem, which is what the Midas. So yeah, so we're kind of moving from withdrawing from this space of judgment, because I am moving from withdrawing from this space of, and I imagine some of you will relate, so maybe we was more appropriate. I am withdrawing from society because of the fear of judgment, and that fear is that it's going to take away my inner wealth. And the path out is to embrace my entrepreneurial and creative ability to turn anything into gold, because my inner wealth can transform the world around me. And that is going to awaken the humility, compassion, and self-esteem. I love this journey of archetypes. I am going to look up the King of Cups. I am learning tarot at the moment from a mentor, and she'd be disappointed that I'm relying on the book, but I'm going to rely on the book. Not that book, apparently. Maybe I'm not. The universe might be conspiring with her. I've got my cat one, though. Oh, maybe I don't. Oh, there it is. Ha! You might be conspiring. I'm going to win. King of Cups. And what I am reading from is the Journey Tarot Guidebook, the Zend Out Journey Tarot Guidebook by Cassie UHL. I don't know how to even start to contemplate pronouncing that. Be the master of your emotions, a calm king amid deep waters. You know the truth of life is more profound than surface level feelings. You know the truth of life is more profound than surface level feelings. I think that applies so beautifully to what I just discussed through the Hermit, the Midas, and the Beggar. The truth of life, we are not broken. We are all whole and complete. There is magic in all of us. No one can take away what we hold within our hearts. It's just not possible. They can corrupt it. They can, and corrupt is not the right, they can try to corrupt it. They can put conditions on us. They can put mud on it. But underneath, there is always that golden Buddha, that light, that nut inside. I've combined about like 10 metaphors there. The truth of life is more profound than the surface level feelings. I will acknowledge that as people judge me, I'm hurt. Absolutely. I feel stuff in that moment. I hear people talk all the time about not feeling it, not taking it personally. And I mean, they're not taking it personally, I understand, but they're not feeling it in the moment. I don't get that. In that moment, I feel deeply. And generally, I feel the anger, the hatred, the hurt. And based on what I know of my human design chart, it's probably not my feelings, but I feel it quite deeply in the moment. To say to me not to feel it just is a level of ridiculous to me, but I feel it. And so recognizing that feeling, I just want to go back to, what did it say? That surface level feeling doesn't have to then overpower the truth of life. And that's what I'm getting better and better at. I feel it, and I feel it deeply in the moment. There's two things that shift for me. One is I recognize that it's a feeling, not a fact. The other is 9 times out of 10, it's not my feeling, because I have an open solar plexus. And so, yeah, tapping into that really helps me hold on to my self-esteem. The personal attacks, and even the not so personal attacks that I take personally, though I attempt not to, the feelings are massive for me, and they're often magnified. So anyone with an open solar plexus or the emotion center, the feelings that the other person are experiencing in that moment that they're projecting onto you are going to be magnified. And so that hurt, shame, guilt, fear, whatever it is that's driving them to attack us is going to be magnified for us. And it is huge. It is quite profound. And so to say not to feel anything in that moment, to me, I feel is an unkindness. For anyone with a defined emotion center, it probably works quite well. But anyone with an undefined solar plexus, you're going to notice that those feelings are magnified, and they're generally not nice. Someone being derogatory, someone judging, someone being unkind. And in this case, I mean judging, like looking down on, rather than the critical thinking judging. Someone projecting negatives onto us because they haven't done their own shadow work. And I have deep compassion for that. But the feelings that they're feeling in that moment are going to be sad, tired, angry, hurt, overwhelmed, frustrated, guilty, shameful, all of those things. And they are then magnified in us. And if you have an open solar plexus, I encourage you in those moments, is this my feeling? And that shift from feelings are not facts. So while we might feel guilty, we don't need to be guilty. Like that, there's separation. While we might feel shame that I am not good enough, it's not true that we are not good enough. Or that I am broken, it's not true. We are not broken. We are whole and complete. And yet there are many, many times in my life where I felt like I was broken. I don't feel like it now. I feel whole and complete. I am in my happy place. This is amazing to me. So yeah, I hope you get some value from that as I wander through my self-reflection. Cups, King of Cups. So now I'm looking at my cat tarot cards, which is where my King of Cups comes from. And it says the King of Cups represents dignity. Oh, so now we're back to dignity. Dignity was the line that I had in 33. Sometimes it's just coincidence, but sometimes there's like a serendipity to this. So dignity, I feel, is a word that I need to explore more this week. The King of Cups represents dignity, structure, order, and authority. He may be charismatic. So charismatic is the 34 channel, but he also has his mercurial side. The King of Cups seems to have it all. He's warm, charming, wise, and sensitive. He's not afraid of intimacy or commitment, as the anchor shows us here, and he likes a good lap cuddle. The anchor is on the cup on the card, as much as anyone, but he is also a matter of self-discipline, so be prepared to give him a little space. Space is coming up consistently too. He's deeply connected to the water, the dolphins on the wall representing his instincts for what lies beneath the surface. So what's lying beneath the surface, for me, that is, I think it's gate 48. That is the gate of the well, or the depth of the well, or something. So that's tapping in on the instinct side. So cups is emotions and intuition. And I haven't really tapped into this yet, but I feel like cups would be the solar plexus and the spleen in terms of the human design. So I'm just going to play out this thought. So we've got cups would be the solar plexus and the spleen. Then we've got pentacles, which is earth, would be the root and the sacral. Then we've got swords, which is air, which would be the crown and the Anya. I'm just picking up my body graph so that I can look, which leaves us with wands, which is the throat and the identity. I'm liking that. I'm going to send that to my mentor momentarily and just get her thoughts on it. So you've got earth in the root and the sacral. We've got cups, which is emotions, in the solar plexus and the spleen, because it's also the intuition. Cups comes with intuition. It's a very feminine energy. Then we've got air, which is crown and Anya. And then we would have the wands is the only one left, which would be, so wands is all about magic, which I would then associate with manifestation, which is the throat. And then the identity and the ego are there. The identity, the G center. I feel that could go into wands. It's certainly where the passion is coming from, and it's the motivation. So those three in the middle, so the throat, G, and ego or heart, depending on what we're calling them and who we're listening to, they would align with the wands or the fire from the tarot. Then you'd have the root and the sacral aligning with the earth, the pentacles. Then we would have the spleen and the solar plexus aligning with cups and water. And then we would have the crown and the Anya aligning with the air and the swords. That was pretty cool. This is why I do this, because I say cool shit. All right. Cat. Trust that kindness and generosity are the key to setting sail. Sure. All right, so that was pretty cool. I am liking that. I'm going to send that through to my mentor and see what she says about that. I feel that my reflection time has come to an end. I can feel that I am now inspired to step into creating a body graph with pictures and sending that through to her and just saying, hey, I was thinking, I wonder if you would agree. And I also want to go and pick up the cards that I got printed with the different elements on the different elements from the I Ching. And because I don't think any of the centers had anything particularly stand out. Like there was a bunch of them all over the place that connected and integrated and played, but I'm curious just to see. And for the yeah, that's for a video for another time. I hope you got value from this. I will do another video at some point going deeper into what I'm noticing with these element correlations and then the I Ching correlations and placing. So for each of the I Ching elements, there are 8 of them. They end up one over the other. So fire above fire, or water above water, or lake above lake, or earth above earth. And they end up with the complete I Ching. So I can see that 2 of them end up in the identity center. So earth above earth and heaven above heaven is 1 and 2. And they are both in the identity center. I don't know the rest of them well enough to be able to pull it out right now and tap into that, but I will create a video on that, and I invite you to look out for that. If you've got any questions about what I do with clients, so all of what I'm doing here is stuff I can do for and with clients, the body graph readings, the unpacking how to create a life you love with human design. The tarot readings are now something that I am willing to add in. At this stage, I'm not adding in the major arcana. We're still at the minor, but give me 2 weeks and we'll be at that major arcana, and I'll definitely be playing. I did the most amazing reading with someone the other day. We did a 7-card reading for her business, and it was just, from my side, it was just divine channeling and seeing what came through, and she got the most amazing insights from that. So the tarot is there, and then the build a team of inner champions, looking at the archetype world and building up that little stack of 3 archetypes per house. So what we're doing here is a culmination of everything that I do, and what I do with clients is we break it down into small manageable steps so they can go on their self-discovery journey without being too overwhelmed, because I know what I bring is a lot. And so with clients, I bring 1 piece at a time, 1 step at a time, unless they are like me and they like 20 steps all at once. There's no one size fits all strategy, and I work with my clients with their patterns, preferences, profiles to help them find the self-discovery journey that works for them and to build the business that they love. None of this is business. This is all self-discovery, personal development side of things, which is 1 pillar, and the from within elements of my business. So I've got three key elements: at home, in business, and from within. This all fits within the from within. So if you want to know more about that, please reach out. I'll pop the link for the Let's Chat call below. And if you are interested in what I offer, let me know. If you've got any questions that you want answered in regards to human design, archetypes, patterns, profiles, preferences, any of that kind of from within stuff, please pop it in the comments below. I do really well responding to people's questions. This is obviously me responding to myself. You'll see on the channel as you click through that there are responses to other people's questions and those kinds of things coming through. It's where I definitely play best. So if you want more content, ask questions, I will answer them and build up the content. And yeah, if you're enjoying this, by all means, click subscribe and make sure you get updated when I upload new videos. This is done weekly. I'm not sure whether I'm going to leave it Monday mornings or Sunday evenings. Moving forward, we'll see. My chart in my book is Sunday through Saturday, and so I think I'll probably start moving it to the Sunday. We'll just see what happens. Enjoy your day, and I look forward to hopefully connecting with you soon. Bye.